in the street. So one chap in particular, he had to live in his shed virtually the rest of his life, making toys for children. He was ashamed to go out because people make like the suffrage movement. You know, I don't think you can really talk about the Titanic without talking about women's suffrage.
Yeah, of course.
So many women were trying to get the boat then, and yet they were, you know, tossed like bags into the lifeboats by men to save their lives. And But the wife of the stoker didn't get much at all.
So bad, but gosh.
What did your great-grandmother do to move on and to? I mean, she still had a family.
Yeah, she had 5 children. I mean, in the initial days, she took in laundry from the street to survive. So she'd wash people's clothes. Many women did that. There were cases of women did what they could to survive until the Titanic Relief Fund kicked in, which wasn't for a few months later. But there was a lot of poverty. There was malnourishment. The Salvation Army had to give out nourishing boxes of food to the women because they were starving. Children had no shoes. Diphtheria was still rife. It was just an awful time.
And of course, they're grieving as well. My God, they're grieving on top of that.
I mean, some of the most... It was very upsetting, actually, doing the research. I mean, there were women who were pregnant when their husbands went away as stokers or stewards, and they were literally earning a pittance just to come back and try and rent a house together, and they died. One woman died in childbirth a few months later, so the whole family was sort of wiped out. Children who were taken into care. In those days, care was, you know, a workhouse. So it really, really affected for the next generation at least to come. I mean, I was lucky. My family were lucky. My grandmother sort of survived, and all her children stayed together, but lots of them didn't. And there's a huge working class strata that isn't talked about that I felt should have their voice. They were the lowest of the low, but they were also the scariest of the scary. They were hard.
Yeah.
I mean, they were called the Black Gang because they were covered in soot and coal. The working class stories are out there, and the wives and the children. But yeah, I mean, I think there's still more to talk about. I mean, not least the fact that what happened afterwards. I mean, so many children in some ways lost opportunities because their father died. So